Previously on the European LCS.
Last week kicked off with a bang. We saw Kenny Penna escape by the skin of his teeth.
And it might be first blood here. It's free.
Gonna walk right by. One's already recalled back. He's actually stealth. Oh my god! Oh, he's stealth right as he went through the brush. And he's like, oh, it's Fnatic. Peace.
I had a feeling that they could be there, so I just tried my luck and it worked out.
With Expected consistently punishing the bottom lane of SK, they used that little bit of an advantage and snowballed the rest of the game into a victory.
Fnatic just kill them off one by one. Fnatic will take this win and go 18-0 now against SK Online.
On the opposite side of that spectrum, we have Evil Geniuses who have really been struggling these past couple of weeks. The only victory they picked up was against the number 8 team, Dragonborns.
So even though we're not performing our best right now, the mood in the team is still really good. No one is angry at each other and no one's just trying their best because it doesn't help anyone being angry. It's not going to make us win the games.
So we saw earlier why Expected should be the AP mid player for the All-Star game, but in the Gambit vs EG match, we saw Alex one-upping him with a pentakill.
Flashes the wall and actually manages to juke away from the Varus ulti, but they've got a 5v4 and he goes back in. It's going to be a bunch of damage on the Genja. Frog in the middle finds the loot ult as well. There's the unstoppable force used on the Genja, but he does not go down. Froggen's really under pressure. Legendary Alex Itch finds 1, 2, 3, 4. Is it going to be 5? I can't actually tell. Everyone is dead, and it is. It's a pentakill. Pentakill for Alex Itch.
I did pentakill. Vote for me.
Welcome, Summoners, to our studios here in Cologne for Week 9 of the European LCS. Last week painted a clearer picture of the standings up to now, but with the playoffs and, of course, the All-Star voting in mind, every team and player is ready to show us their skills this week. So without further ado, let's welcome our commentators, Lee, oh my lord, D-Man Smith, who is back from sunny LA, and our lovely Trevor the Henry Quickshot to give us an overview of the standings and the upcoming matches. Glad to have you back, D-Man.
Thank you very much, Sharks. It's great to be back here in the European LCS. So let's check out what the standings look like after I've been gone, of course. So at the top lane, it is still Fnatic. They're 17-4. They went 2-1, but of course they had that loss to Gambit, which means Gambit snapping at their heels at 16-4. They went 3-0 last week, really storming up that table once again. SK Gaming there, 13-9. 2-1 last week, but they had a win over EG, which has helped solidify their third place. And of course, Evil Genius is 11-10, only 1-2 last week, just beating the Dragonborns.
Yeah, the Copenhagen Wolves are sitting in that 5th position at 9-14. Interesting stat to note is that since Bjergsen has joined, they have gone 9-5 in their last 14 matches. Against All Authority are 8-13 with a 2-1 match record last weekend. The new guy, Dew, doing really, really well with them, helping Nono out in the bottom lane. The Giants are sitting in 7th position. They had a tough week losing all 3 of their matches, and they're currently in that relegation position, but they're close to 5th and 6th. And finally, the Dragonborns, 0-13 in the previous LCS matches. So they really need to shake things up and bounce back.
Absolutely. This is, of course, the second week, second from last week, I should say, almost known as the penultimate week to some people in England. But, of course, after Super Week 10, we will be going into the promotion relegation matches. So let's go through this one. Teams ranked 1 and 2, that is, of course, currently Fnatic and Gambit, will immediately qualify for the summer split, as well as move into the semi-finals. You can see it on your screen. LCS second, LCS first place. Of course, third plays 6th. You can see that in the round 1. And 4th plays 5th, which obviously is currently Evil Geniuses and the Copenhagen Wolves.
It's a very important matchup as well because Evil Geniuses, they're a little nervous about facing Wolves in that 4th, 5th, so they really want to try push for 3rd. Of course, the losers of the quarterfinals from that tournament, plus the 7th and 8th teams from the LCS, will then enter the summer promotion tournament. This bracket is a little confusing, but stick with me. This tournament is going to feature 8 additional Challenger Circuit teams, and as you can see on the graphic, we've got multiple stages to the promotion tournament. So the first 4 amateur teams, which earned their spots from Lille and from the ESL Go for LOLs, are going to battle against the top 4 teams from this week's Challenger Circuit qualifier. So you can see the Amateur 1, Amateur 2, Amateur 3, as well as 1st place, 2nd place, 3rd place. The winners of that Challenger Circuit will then play off against the bottom 4 from the LCS in the promotion battles. And all of these 12 teams in the summer promotion tournament will be competing for the 4 spots in the summer split of the League of Legends Championship Series. And of course, in that event, they're playing for spots at the World Championships.
All very clear. Very well explained, of course.
It's a bit difficult to follow, but it's, graphics help.
You'll understand when the teams suddenly are in there. It's going to be a lot easier to read, of course. If you've missed any of the matches on all the VODs and stats, team info, it can all be found over at lolesports.com.
And don't forget to vote for your favorite European All-Stars. Make sure you vote for your top mid, jungler, AD carry, and support, because the polls close on Monday. And there's a couple of positions that are still, in contention.
Yeah, these players, they're hotly contested for some of them places. Some of them are really quite taking this quite seriously, as well they should be, of course. There's a lot up for grabs at that All-Star matches. So, we know what the league table looks like, and let's take a peek at the games we have in store for you today. With the playoffs ahead, today's matches will have a big impact on the seeding. So, today's match, there you can see it. Gambit versus Dragonborns. Gambit, of course, going to be looking to overtake Fnatic in first place with a win, while the Dragonborns, they're going to be fighting for their own survival here in the LCS. Evil Geniuses versus Fnatic, of course, coming up after that massive game. This will be the third time these teams meet. Fnatic at risk of losing their first seed, of course. If Gambit were to win that first game, they could retake it again if they were to beat Evil Geniuses. Meanwhile, Evil Geniuses, they're going to be looking to remain positive with their wins and losses.
Yeah, they're trying to maintain that 0.500 or 50% win-loss ratio. Finally, third game for the day, we're going to look at Against Authority versus Gambit. This is going to be a matchup between Edward and the new dude Dude in the bottom lane for Against All Authority. The new support player is the top of the table for KDA, and he's overtaken Edward, who's definitely going to be wanting to get that position back. Then finally, Giants versus Dragonborns. That's a 7th versus 8th place matchup, which is a must-win battle for both of these squads. Who is going to be able to rise up above their opponents and claim that win? Only time will tell.
Yeah, in England we'd be calling it a 6-pointer, I think, in the football leagues. And in fact, to be honest, everywhere in the world that has a football league apart from America.
Jason had an awesome description of that last week, so I'm not going to try emulate it because I don't think I could live up to it.
Oh, you managed to actually figure it out at last.
Nailed it. Absolutely nailed it.
It's good to see. So we should have a lot of great games today, and we want to hear what you have to say about them. So let's get over to Shocks, who will be able to explain how you can get in touch with us.
Thank you very much. Of course, we want to hear every one of your opinions on the European LCS, and we also have a question for you. Which European LCS Pros playstyle has most influenced your game, and why? You can hit us up on Twitter at LOLesports, #LCS to let us know what you think, and we'll respond to your answers later in the show. Now, the Dragonborns have been struggling the last couple of weeks, and now that they've got nothing to lose, we could be in for some crazy strats. What will they pull out against Gambit? We'll find out in a couple of minutes.
Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. First up today, it's going to be the Gambit versus the Dragonborns.
It's going to be an awesome game to watch. If Gambit pick up a victory here, they will take first place in the seedings because of their head-to-head record with Fnatic being 3-1. Last weekend, Gambit went 3-0 and had some very, very good performances against Fnatic, Evil Geniuses, and Wolves, and they'll be looking to replicate those performances this weekend.
And of course, Dragonborns, they've been struggling to find consistency in their game. However, they have showed a willingness to try things in their composition. Of course, it doesn't always work. It worked against EG, then it backfired against SK. They tried something wacky last week. It backfired pretty horribly. So let's have a look at the lineups of the two sides. Of course, for Gambit, you know them well. It is Darian, Diamond Prox, Alexich, Genja, and Edward.
And of course, for the Dragonborns, Yamato Cannon, Maluno, Shushe, Hosan, and Muvet.
So the exciting mid laner for Dragonborns is the man we want to look at. It is, of course, the man on your screen, Shushe. He's been struggling really to find a meaningful way to impact the game lately. Shushe, of course, has been unable to replicate the explosive double kills that secured him the win with Lux against SK Gaming.
So some interesting stats here about Shushe. He's currently got the lowest KDA of all of the mid laners, sitting at 1.95 overall. He's got 58 kills, 64 deaths to 67 assists. And he's got this reputation for trying out new things and playing new champions. But truth be told, we haven't actually seen that throughout the course of the season. We've seen a few unique picks, but for the most part, he's actually conforming and playing relatively normally. And like you've already said, he's been struggling to repeat those explosive moments to make the, oh my lord, laser moments to pick up wins. And he's really going to need to step up his game here against Gambit to actually secure his team a victory.
Yeah, and of course, remember that amazing vibe play he had before, but the rest of his team weren't quite on the same wavelength, so they need to kind of get themselves
That was
sorted.
where they were talking about when Spontex was still in the team. They don't want to play in Kha'Zix because he wasn't on the same page of going in when he went aggressive.
Despite the fact having the best stats on the team, I believe he did overall. But of course, for Gambit, well, none other than Alex Ich is the man we're looking at. Alex himself has been saying that this season, his team's really had to carry him as well. It's just interesting way of putting it, but it kept technically true, of course. However, in true Gambit style, when given a finger, he will happily take the entire arm, as he demonstrated last week against Evil Geniuses and Fnatic.
Now, some more statistics. Alex, highest GPM of all mid laners in the entire league, 387 GPM average. He's got the third highest total gold out of every single player in the European LCS. And in terms of kills, deaths, assists, 111 to 65 to 116. Double that of his counterpart, Shushe in this matchup. And of course, you have to mention him on Assassins. Playing Kha'Zix, playing Zed, and even Fizz last weekend against Fnatic, he made Xpeke's life miserable in that mid lane.
You could say he took him hook, line, and sinker. So let's talk about the duo lane pairings for these teams, because there is a massive difference in the stats.
I feel like a statistician here, but we really have to point out, and look at the stats, lolesports.com, they're all there. Combined stats of the bottom lane that you pointed out, 66 kills to 147 deaths for that of Dragonborns. That's Hosan and Muvet. On the other side of the coin, Genja and Edward, 109 kills to 65 deaths. They have died as many times as Hosan and Muvet have picked up kills.
Very, very big difference, of course. Last time these teams met, it was a close start to the game, but you simply can't make mistakes against Gambit. Let's hear how the players thought it went.
Our last time versus Gambit in Lille, we had them pretty much under pressure early on, but we got too greedy and it backfired on us.
I don't know what's going on in their team, but I think they're trying to find out the best lineup.
I don't think you can focus on any one player in Gambit. They all play so well, you need to handle all of them.
I think it's good that they got Malone back half a year ago. He was the best jungler in the world.
This time, if we're not too greedy, I think we'll have it.
Well, not too sure how serious we should take some of those comments, especially from Diamond Prox. They're calling Maluno the best jungler in the world 6 months ago.
We'll see. We'll see.
That would be his Cursey U days. I'm not sure about that.
He was the paramedic at the beginning of the season here at LCS.
He had his
for
moments.
Dragonborns.
He's had his moments, definitely.
But he hasn't been able to convert those moments into wins, and that's what matters. I mean, Dragonborns are 0 for 13 in their LCS career. Their last couple of matches, lost many matches. Baker's dozen of losses is a lot of games to lose.
Wow, that's a reference that not many people in the world are going to get. A Baker's dozen, aka 13. It is the biggest record, the biggest losing record in all of the LCS, unfortunately, and it is the Dragonborns that currently hold it. But as you can see, we are into the picks and bans. So straight away, things are getting underway. Draven banned out by Gambit, taking it away from Hosan, and Thresh, of course, taken away from Ed Ward.
Of course, instantly just targeted bans. They don't want them to have their comfort picks, don't want to have Edward playing that Thresh, and they obviously don't want Hosan to have that big impact on the game, the early matchups in the form of Draven. We've been seeing BENO playing a lot of job on the fourth and immediately just taking that away from him, forcing him onto a different jungler. We have to note out that both Volibear and Nasus are still available. Diamond Prox has played Nasus in 9 games out of his team's 20, so approaching half of his games on one single champion.
Well, there is the KO ban taken away from Shushay and Nasus taken, so Volibear almost certainly going to get picked up. Will it be the first choice, though? No, it's looking like it may well be Shen.
So if Darien is going to lock in Shen, he is arguably the strongest Shen player in Europe, and it's one of the most contested picks. Every single top laner across all of the teams in EU have been playing a lot of Shen, and Darien is one of the strongest players. You can see big smiles on the faces there of Gambit as they're flicking through the picks. And, we had a little bit of a chance to talk to some of the members leading up to this, and they were definitely mentioning how KDAs of later matches, if Dude was important. I wonder what they're planning for a game like this, where it's 2nd versus 8th. They're so far the favorites, but, they can't take Dragonborns lightly.
But, we could also talk about the fact that Complexity went and beat Dignitas when it was 8th versus 1st. Copenhagen Wolves beat Fnatic when it was 8th versus 1st. So these things do happen. Not very often, but it's happened twice this season in 2 different leagues, so why the hell not again? Zed looks like it may well get locked in here by Dragonborns, and, they've realized that, they're not likely to get out of that bottom 2 positions, so they've decided it's time to really try gambles. This is probably something they maybe should have tried a little earlier in the season, to start trying a few of those crazy strategies. Sometimes they work, sometimes they don't, but I'm not sure it's always doable if you haven't practiced it.
So Dragonborns now are in a position where they can be the heartbreakers in the league. They can take people's positions away. They can deny them from finishing in a spot where they'd like to. But we do need to talk about, if the Zed is locked in, which it has been, Kha'Zix is still available for Alex if he decides to go that route. We've also seen him playing a number of times Twisted Fate when they were playing against the Copenhagen Wolves. He got absolutely dominated in the mid lane by Bjergsen's Zed, but it didn't matter. He said, feed strat, I go 0-6, and we win the game because it was the map that he was playing. So I would expect to see one of those 2 champions being locked in. We see that Sona's been locked in for Movet, so we already know who the support player is, and it gives you a lot of CC, but those crescendos are going to have to be really, really focused from Movet, and he's just a support that hasn't really shone up till date.
I think the players are actually trolling Genja. They keep selecting Ashe for him. They keep pointing to Gosh, going, you're going to have Ashe. You're going to have Ashe. And he's like, no, I don't want Ashe. I want Misfortune. So Misfortune and Kha'Zix locked in. Of course, just as you mentioned, Kha'Zix countering Zed, or not so much countering, Alex Ich countering Zed.
There we go. It's a comfort pick. It's a comfort pick there for Alex. He's played so much Kha'Zix. Got the pentakill last weekend, which we do have to remind everybody about. Dramatic leapfrogging pentakill. And, in terms of Misfortune, 9 games played, 9 victories picked up for Genja. So, again, another comfort pick, 9 out of 20 matches. He knows how to play MF. He likes to play a little bit safer with his AD carries, just relies on the bullet time for the damage in team fights, and obviously it's a very good pickup for him.
Yeah, it should work out very well. Udyr currently selected and locked in. Is that going to be a jungler Udyr or a top lane? In which patch when we are on?
We're 3.5.
0.5, so that would be a jungle
It's jungle Udyr, and Maluna ran it last weekend as well. So when you were at your wedding, not your wedding,
not my wedding. Don't worry, ladies, I'm still available.
Maluna did run jungle Udyr. It was a fairly good performance, but unfortunately the team is very far behind, so it didn't really have any sort of impact on the matchup. I'd like to see how he's going to play this particular game, because you've got, Kha'Zix going to be hopping straight over his head. You're going to have Shen running protection, and at the moment between Blitzcrank and Lulu are both going to give a lot of protection for Genja's Misfortune. So, it's a difficult champion to get in there. But if he does, he can wreak havoc on the Gambit.
I'm just loving seeing the focus on Edward's face while he flicks through these two champions. Look at this. This is pure focus, so he can go to Lulu, Edward, Lulu, Edward, Lulu, Edward. He's really working on it, and now Genja's trying to match him for pace, and it's just not possible. You can't meet the aggressive Edward there, but it does look like it's going to be that Lulu and Volibear combo. And actually, I had the chance to speak to, obviously, Skara about this the other week. Well, obviously, they faced I was about to say face Genja, but they faced Gambit at MLG Dallas, and they said, we never really understood the meaning of the way that it was working out with the combos with the Lulu and the Nasus and the Volibear, and then suddenly they came up against it and went, oh, now we see how it works and we see how to counter it, but we see there's such a strong strategy.
Yeah, it's a really, really good combo when you consider the kit that Lulu had. She gives the speed boost to Volibear, then throws the shield on him to land a Glitter Lance at max range. That allows Volibear to get in there with his rolling thunder movement speed and the whimsy, fling somebody backwards, and if anyone gets in the way, you knock up the rest of the team, and you've got this great zone of control that your opponent simply cannot break through and breach. So we've got a lot of comfort picks here for Gambit. The Volibear Diamond Prox has played 5 times this season with 3 victories, and it's just everybody's on sort of their go-to champions. I still remember Edward tearing apart Against All Authority with his Lulu, where I think he went 5-0-7, if I remember correctly, in that matchup, 3, 4, 5 weeks ago. So, Gambit looking very comfortable. Dragonborns, though, they've locked in that Orianna right at the end. If they can get some good combos with the Zed and the Orianna to, burst people down, Udyr and Varus will be able to clean house. But it's going to be very, very key on those two players to land their damaging abilities in order to control team fights.
And that hail of arrows is going to be so important to stop that bear charging straight at him. But it's the same for Udyr. I mean, he's going to really have a tough job of getting in there because Lulu's just going to glitter lance him and then it's just going to slow him straight down.
Exactly. And you consider that Zed is also a melee champion, so if they get hit by that ability, it's definitely going to affect their ability to deal damage in the team fights. One thing you've also got to remember with that hail of arrows, it's going to reduce the healing effect on Volibear's passive. So if Hosan can place that hail effectively and in a correct position, he can actually negate a lot of that early game power that Volibear's passive offers. But we know Hosan likes to be very aggressive. We know Hosan likes to be leading the charge when it comes to his teams and team fights. So he's really going to have to play a little bit more passive against Gambit, who will punish him for being further into the no safety zone, as it were.
And speaking of aggressive, obviously with the Shen on the team, we're expecting Darien to be split pushing somewhere along the line. There's no teleport from Dragonborns to counter this.
No, none at all. They may need to rely on somebody like Yamato Can and Zed to try and duel him. Both being ninja and energy based means he's going to be less reliant on mana. And if Zed can get an item advantage, he should be able to at least out-duel somebody like Shen and just keep him on the back foot, make sure he doesn't have the ability to split push. What it does mean is the rest of Dragonborns are going to have to be very well coordinated to deal with the 4 versus 4 engagements because they don't have the ability to bring in that 5th member, whereas Darien with Stand United obviously does.
So here we go, ladies and gentlemen. If you have just tuned in to the European League of Legends Championship Series, we are on the way for Week 9. Gambit as the blue team and Dragonborns as the red team. Red Pot's being picked up by Alex Ich as well as Yamato Cannon on LCS. On the Dragonborns, sorry, we are on the LCS, that's true. Shushay, though, he went for the armor against Alex Ich there, so full-on going defensive at the start.
Yeah, he's really afraid of the pressure that Alex is going to be putting in the early levels, and it immediately signals to you what Shushay's plan is. He wants to try and farm, he wants to try and CS in that lane, as opposed to trying to, bully out his opponent. I feel that if Shushay does passively, he's actually going to win out at levels 1 and 2 because of the passive, that clockwork wind-up. It deals consecutive magic damage that actually scales with each hit, and it'll really help him out against the melee Alex, who needs some levels and some ability levels before he can really chunk you down.
He's got 34 ability power on there, so he must be running a lot of runes, I think, Shushay. So definitely stack those out. Let's see what he can do with it. Doesn't look like we're going to get any level 1 action. As it is, we can see Volibear hanging around that red buff, as is Maluno on Udyr. It looks like he's going to go Wraiths and then red buff. So standard start, no invades, nothing serious coming out. So looking like they're going to go to actually standard meta here as well. We are seeing the Wolves, of course, being picked up by the red team of Dragonborns, and it's also the Golems at the bottom. So they're going to counter each other, make sure nobody hits level 2 early on. We do see Volibear down the bottom of the Golems, though.
I was just about to point that out. So he's standing there, obviously, to share some of the experience, just get a little bit quicker to that level 2. I actually think he may have picked up the last hit on that one. Yes, he does. He's got 1 as well as Genja having 1, because he's halfway to level 2 already. it just means that Diamond Prox is going to hit that level 2 and level 3 a little bit sooner, which means we might actually see some early ganks coming out of Diamond Prox's volley base. So we'll need to keep a close eye on that minimap to see when he goes in. And Alex has already jumped on Shushay.
Look at that, going full on aggression. That's exactly why Shushay managed to pick up that cloth armor at the start. He knew the aggression would happen, and happened very early on. Alex Sich level 2 already, and their level 2 still not come for Shushay.
So Alex, in that particular situation, he drank the red pot already, went instantly aggressive once he hit level 2, and just forced Shushay to lose a lot of HP. He's down to 1 potion in that mid lane, and if Alex continues to land those void spikes, he's immediately going to get very good control in this mid lane.
Yeah, and only just hitting level 2 there, Shushay. Actually, Talai just did it a moment ago. Diamond Prox does take up the blue, and it looks like he's going to head straight towards that top lane of Yamato Cannon and Darian, and see whether he can get any advantage. Yamato Cannon actually at half health has got that red pot in his pocket. You see him warding out that river, but it's not the river he needs to worry about, because Diamond Prox, he looks like he's going to try and tippy-toe in from the bottom.
Yeah, he does have that ghost available. Shushay gets jumped on in the mid lane, taste of fear, but he's just going to be trading. This is just Alex trying to get some control. You can still see that Diamond Prox is hanging around there near that top lane. If he decides to burn his ghost and that rolling thunder, he may be able to close the gap. But Darian will have to open up with that taunt first for that gank to work. It doesn't look like Diamond feels that'll work.
It looks like he's had to back off. Alex is continuing to be aggressive, but Shushay, of course, with that ball range of Orianna, that attack ball, he can sit right at the back, which is exactly what he's doing. It does mean he missed one of the CS, though. He's not quite getting it 100% perfect right now. This bottom lane, this is where the aggression also is between the two. Both very aggressive ADs. That's the mid laner going low again there. The pings of Shushay keep getting jumped on by Alex. But as it stands, very even in this bottom lane.
Yeah, CS is staying, very, very close. But this wave is about to push against the Dragonborns, which means they're going to be in that safety zone. They're going to be able to play under the tower for the next couple of minutes. And as long as Hosan and Mover keep the lane here, it's going to play into their favor as far as last hitting and aggression goes. It's going to be up to Maluno to move into this lane and try convert any sort of presence into maybe some ganks in first blood. Instead, he's just holding that mid lane because Shushay was forced out, and he's picked up another cloth armor. He's really feeling the pressure of Alex's Kha'Zix.
So is he going for arm guards, Seeker's arm guards, I guess,
yes.
early on?
Yeah, that would definitely be the first guess. And against the likes of a Misfortune with bullet time and Kha'Zix, it's a very good pickup, but it does mean it's going to take a little bit longer to hit that insta-kill potential that Orianna has.
Good snipe on towards Edward from long range there, keeping him very low. It does, of course, mean that that red pot was used, and as yet has not been successful in getting any kills. So wasted, not wasted. I mean, he's a 10 CS difference. It's worked out in his favor, but of course he's got no items currently built up.
No, he doesn't, but he'll be able to recall relatively soon and start spending some money. What it has done is it's given control in that lane. We've seen a quick glance there of Diamond Prox setting up in this bottom lane, but he's walked straight over a ward, and you just seen the ping coming up from Dragonborns. For a split second, you seen the time left on that ward. That was like 5 or 10 seconds. What a different situation it could have been. Alex has caught Shushay.
Gone straight in aggressive again, and Shushay not going back too quickly because he knew he had the defensive work of Maluno just at the back there, ready and waiting. Diamond Prox, you can also see waiting in the wings. He wants to get in. Hasn't been able to get any successful ganks yet. The best stats, I might add, for Diamond Prox in the entire LCS. Everyone put together.
Not even a question about that. In the mid lane, I just want to quickly talk on the level difference there. You see that Alex is 5 to Shushay almost 5. Once Alex gets 6 and he's going to get those evolved spikes, Shushay is going to need to rely entirely on his abilities to farm, because if he gets close enough to auto attack, Alex is literally just going to spam him with missiles and jump on him when he gets him low enough.
Yeah, he's just leveled up the void spikes there, I believe, and you can see them immediately. They're going to come straight on Shushay. Shushay with no mana left either. He really needs to get that blue buff ASAP. It will be up in another minute though, so he's really had to just use everything. He's going to get dive on the tower. It's going to be Alex Sich. First blood will come down on Shushay. Will the ball be enough to survive? One tick more. It does take him down.
Alex, knowing exactly how much damage he had available, he used the leap, he used the missiles and the ignite, and it was able to completely secure that kill. He took 1 or 2 turret hits, and now we can recall with a 20 CS lead, his opponent is still not level 6, and he's going to be able to, itemize even more efficiently to control that lane even more. So early, Elixir Fortitude pot, was it a success? Yes, end of story.
Absolutely. Now he's got the Brutalizer and boots, and now he's just going to be an absolute terror for Shushay. Had to go back and get himself a Doran's Ring. That means he's in desperate trouble right now. Third item bought being a Doran's Ring. You can see Darian trying to keep the pressure, and meanwhile the bottom lane is where there's a bit of pinging back and forth, but no real action there, so it's kind of flat across the board. That's just that one kill so far, and what a kill it was. Alex Sich showing how aggressive he can be, And the one-on-one situations really is one of the best in the world.
Yeah, not even a doubt about that. And it's why his all-star vote percentage is so high at the moment. In the top lane, while you were chatting there, we were looking at Yamato Cannon CSing away, and he had some very strong words for Wicked last week, telling him how to level up his Z and saying, well, you shouldn't max Q over E. So I want to see how Yamato Cannon plays. He is maxing E at the moment. You can see 3 into that Shadow Slash. And I want to see how he performs. Alex at the moment, he's waiting in the wings, has his ultimate available, and he's going to try catch Xuche out.
He's going to jump around the backside of him, has got 4 points in that Voice Box, but the Voice Box missed there, and Xuche already got the defensive ball. Didn't matter, nothing hit him at all there, and that was actually a bit of a failed attempt by Alex Ich there. Of course, blue buff will be contested shortly, both teams starting at the red buff, so it will be spawning in just a few moments. We're seeing aggression coming in the top lane now. Maluna is going to come in, Yamato Cannon puts the death mark, Shadow Mark down on towards him, does get the bear stance stun, but he's going to get away from this one. They both flash for it, they will get the kill eventually. It's Yamato Cannon that takes it.
Well played between Maluna and Yamato Cannon. They burned everything there. The Ghost, the Ignite, the flashes, but it worked and they picked up the kill. There was some good play by Darian. He managed to flash taunt, catch Udyr out. He even used his feint to block some of the damage of that death mark. But nevertheless, it was too much damage overall. And interestingly, Yamato didn't even use his red pot in that engagement. They could have maybe got there a little quicker if he had that extra damage.
Yeah, that's the red pot he's been sitting on from the very start of the game as well. Got himself that Vampiric Scepter on the last back. Now it's going to be sat on a couple of 100 gold as well now. Definitely going to be working out nicely for him. Looks like we're going to get a Warmogs coming out from Darian as their first item. You can see him still building up them rejuve beads. Meanwhile, down this bottom lane, 71 CS currently Hosam with the advantage over Genja, but still very, very close between him. And we're seeing Genja again, Avarice Blade. It's something he always goes for.
Yeah, now this is something he actually hasn't done for a little while, but he was doing it in the middle of the season time and time again with his Misfortune. I believe he follows this build with double Bloodthirsters. If my memory serves me correctly, he goes Avarice into double BT, and he just gets all of that auto attack damage stacking on his bullet time. It literally tells you right now, Genja's not going to be in there right-clicking opponents to death. He's going to be casting his ultimate and shredding them down in that massive AoE.
Oh, we see, speaking of massive AoE, Alex is leaping on Xuche. Getting a bit of a poke on towards him. That defensive ball not quite landing in time before the Void Spikes managed to catch him. So blue buff on both mid laners, so nobody going for any invades just yet. You do see again another jump. He's not going to go completely deep on this one against Xuche's ball.
Now, Alex at the moment's got his ultimate and Ignite, and he's going to be able to pick up a kill as soon as that Ignite becomes available. So keep very, very close eyes here on Xuche. Alex is probably going to sniff this out. Ignite is available, and he's going.
He's going to jump perfectly. The Shockwave will pull him in. Will he be able to get away from me? He does get the kill, but Moluna's going to chase. He's going to get one more hit. He does manage to get the revenge kill, and it's actually Xuche that gets it with the Ignite.
So well played there to at least be in the right place at the right time for Maluna. You knew that that dive was coming, and Alex, he just signaled it entirely that he wanted to pick up that kill. So he does go 1-for-1, trades blue buff over to actually nobody because Xuche got the kill, so the buff has actually died, which is a bit of a loss for Maluna.
A bit of a loss, yeah. It didn't manage to switch across, but it doesn't matter. A kill for a kill, eye for an eye, as it were. But 84 CS to 54 CS tells a story of its own. Diamond Prox getting in again. The flip on towards Maluna. Did manage to get a bear stance out. Quickly switches back to Phoenix. Gets a bit of AE damage down on towards Diamond Prox, but just walks away. Does manage to get the ward in at Wraiths.
Yeah, so Maluna's going to have a little bit of vision there. Going to know where his opponents are. And interestingly, he has started with Boots of Swiftness, so he really wants to be mobile in team fights. He can see what Diamond Prox is doing, is thinking about going in, and eventually just stands there and watches him, a little bit stalkery.
A little bit stalkery, yeah, just watches him. He had the ward there, so he didn't need to stand close. He was clearly wanting to try and do something, but realized that Alex had obviously returned to lanes. So, speaking of lanes, let's look at the top. Bilgewater Cutlass being picked up as the Yamato Cannon returns to that top lane. Meanwhile, this bottom lane, 92 to 99 now, still very close in it, and really not a great deal of action between them. Nobody really going for those crazy aggressive plays. We see Genja again using his bullet time to clear out the wave. He's going to go back and buy, probably picking up a BF sword.
Yeah, we'll see how much he's got in his back pocket to spend when he does recall, but at the moment it's just a farm fest. Neither of the two bottom laners are actually picking those engagements or the battles. You can see that other than Genja using his ultimate to farm, nobody else has actually burned their ultimate for any reason at all. Hosan doing the best he can to shove the lane down, deny at least some experience in CS if that minion wave does go down to the tower. It looks like Genja with Strut will be able to get in there and get at least most of it.
So we see a lot of damage from Dragonborns onto this bottom turret. May well be the first one of the game. Genja has just returned back to lane, but you can see there's a big chunk done to that turret. And I don't think they've managed to return the favor on towards Dragonborns' turret themselves. No, they've only really took just about over half the hit points off that. So big advantage currently in the bottom lane for the Dragonborns.
Yeah, it's also partially due to the fact that Varus is in the lane. He's a little bit of a faster wave pusher than that of Misfortune. The Make It Rain, the E from MF, is not typically the greatest in shoving lanes, whereas the Piercing Arrow and Hail of Arrows does significantly more to get the lane pushed. They are an item behind now, and you can see Hosan and Muvert deciding to recall because they're not going to be able to deal with that BF sword advantage that now Genja's Misfortune has. Up in the top lane, you can see Yamato falling a little bit behind in the CS. I think he's mistimed his backs and lost a couple extra creeps to the lanes and to the minions. The Gambit perfectly positioned for Dragon. There's a little bit of vision here for Dragonborns, but they are simply nowhere near to challenge.
They're trading up damage at the top, though. Yamato Cannon thinking of going in towards Darien. Darien, of course, doesn't matter. The Dragon is going to go across to Gambit, and that is a gold advantage swinging their way. 1.5k now building up.
Yeah, completely uncontested. There was no vision. Dragonborns, even if they did know it was happening, they simply couldn't contest it. Yamato has that bilge ward. He actually used the active in the previous fight. So if he does go aggressive, the ultimate pop's not going to be as high, and he might jump in.
He does. Deathmark goes in. He's going to go full on aggression towards Darien. Can he get away from this one? He does. And really, the damage wasn't there. Darien just simply shadow dashed away from it.
Darien did so well. The shadow dash, the flash crescendo.
Flash crescendo on towards Genja. The Varus arrow is going to land towards it. Has he got enough damage, though? You can see he's going to turn around with the wild growth. Is it going to be enough? Bullet time on towards Hosan. Hosan flashes away. Edward trying to turn it, but it's going to be a double kill. Here comes Darien. The ultimate's going to come through. He does get him just at the right moment, and Hosan picks up a double kill.
Perfect play there with that crescendo from Mover. He set it up. Hosan followed in and landed every single ability. They got the crescendo into the chain of corruption and landed every single ability one after the other. Double kill for Hosan means that's just going to stamp complete control in this lane once he spends that money and gets the items. In the top lane, Darien got away because he got the damage reduction from that Shadow Dash taunt and then the feint to block a lot of the DPS. And Yamato Cannon used that Fortitude Elixir, so he's actually burnt that potion that he's been sitting on since the beginning of the game. But advantage Dragonborns, at least in terms of the kills.
Advantage Dragonborns indeed, and Alex Ich went up the top there to try and help out, try and get a kill, but it wasn't to be because Yamato Cannon had already backed off. He actually lost a lot of time, lost a lot of that build-up he had against Shuche, but he has still got that big advantage. 138 CS to 94. Big swing there, 2-1. And as it stands, the bottom lane, though, Hosan, he's going to build up nicely. 2-0. Bloodthirster ready.
Yeah, so Bloodthirster completed. There's a lot of talk about Varus and how you should itemize him, but the AD ratios and his abilities scale so well with that additional attack damage that Bloodthirster gives you. But you were talking about Alex's position in the mid lane. He's got the home guard boots already, which tells you he wants to get out of base and into lanes to affect them as quickly and as fast as possible. And when you consider Zed, Varus, and Orianna are actually fairly, squishy, and Sona, as soon as Alex starts getting involved in his team fights, if he picks his targets correctly and yumps to them in the right order, he may set himself up for another pentakill.
Yeah, those kill yumps can be deadly. He does walk straight across at the ward. That ward placement from Yamato is having him so well at the moment. He's sitting on that turret, making sure he doesn't get caught out. Meanwhile, down this bottom lane, we see the ward placement going in towards the Tri-Bush, and Genja's going to try and catch out here on towards Movet, just try and keep him away. Meanwhile, the top lane, Maluna's going to go into this one. They've backed it away.
Darien did really well to get away from that. He decided to back off at exactly the right time, but I feel like Yamato Cannon went a touch too early there. He popped his ultimate and he popped his Bilgewater Cutlass before Maluna was even in range, so they couldn't stack the damage. Red Pot is still there, but here comes Diamond Prox. He's burned his ghost and he's going to go in top.
He's going to get caught out as well. Alex Ich was also trying to join the party, but it doesn't matter. He's too late. The invite wasn't down, and Gambit picked themselves up another kill. Where is Alex going?
Alex has decided to go on a little hike through the bushes. He wants to see the scenery, get some vision on the buffs, reset the timer so he'll know when red buff is up. He's returning to the mid lane and may actually go 1v2 while Gambit pick up their first tower of the game.
Yeah, and the bottom lane, though, the pressure's coming down there. Darien taking up the turret. The turret's going to get him. Doesn't matter. Nobody else managed to get any damage on him, but nevertheless, he dies to a turret. It's always a comedy moment.
It is a little bit of a comedy moment, but at least, you know his KDA is going to be affected. In the bottom lane, you can see there is some pressure, but there was immediate fallback pings there from Dragonborns. They knew that Alex was on the way because of that ward he just walked past, and they were backing away as soon as they seen his face.
So 1-1 in turrets. Top and bottom both going down. And a question mark placed on the bottom. Pretty sure they're around there still somewhere, says Gambit, but we're not too sure where. Because Alex Ich, though, big advantages growing up here. But We've not seen a great deal between him and Shushay. Shushay is starting to get himself back into this. You can see he's got the source boots, the arm guards on there. He just needs to get himself a bit of damage. But look at this three-man stack.
Dragonborns are setting this one up. If Genja oversteps his bound, he is going to get jumped on. Look for the pressure. Ward may come down. They've got Edward.
They've managed to catch straight on towards him. Edward's going to die. It's no problem at all. And that's an easy pickup for Dragonborns. That's what they wanted. They're now 5-3 up.
So they stacked their CC a little bit inopportune there. They got the crescendo and then immediately followed up with a chain. They could have done that a little better, and it was a support. So they may not have needed all of those ultimates, but a kill is a kill. And, you know, getting that gold in your back pocket for 3 team members is definitely what matters most. So 5-3 up in kills. Dragonborns are looking very, very good. This is a coordinated Dragonborns, which is something, to be very frank, we haven't actually seen all that much of. Hosan is not overstepping his bounds unless they've made an aggressive play. And they're in really good control of their own game here, which bodes well for this mid-game.
Well, Dragonborns, you've got to be honest, this is the first time they've been as a 5 to practice for a week in their house together. Because they've had that many changes, shuffling changes, which some would agree with, some just wouldn't, because there's been some interesting changes throughout there. But it's the first time they've been able to fully practice.
Yeah, that's definitely the case. We see on the minimap a big convergence of champions in this mid lane. Alex is going to put some damage on Hosan, but he's actually losing that trade with Hosan, to be very, very fair. You get a lot more damage done from those auto attacks and that passive, you know, percentage HP proc. But he's immediately going to heal that up fairly quickly with his Vamp Scepter and obviously those Void Missiles in the mid lane.
So Red Bull being given across to Yamato, I feel. They need something. Actually, did he get that? I didn't quite catch it.
It went to Maluna.
Pick it. It did go to Maluna. I thought so. I'm pretty sure Yamato wanted that to deal with Darien in the top lane, so that may well have been a mistake there. I'm not too sure. I think the last tick of Phoenix managed to take it away. Darien does show himself there, and you can see Yamato immediately showing his positioning. So Hosan back down the bottom. He's farming and out-farming nicely on Genja right now.
Look at the positioning here now for the Dragonborns. They're aware that Dragon is about to respawn. It has just popped as we see Maluna moving away. So Dragonborns have positioning for this. Darien is split pushing Shen, who is surprised by that, but Stand United is available, so if he decides to come in, it is available for him to do that. Gambit want to challenge for this fight, and here they go.
Going in for it. Is it going to be a little bit too early? That's the question. Movet hasn't got Crescendo out there, didn't quite have it available, so that's going to be disastrous for them. They do manage to take Alex down. Darien taken very low. Hosan kiting them brilliantly. We see a good double kill coming out from him, but the rest of the damage is coming across them. Where is Hosan going to run to? I don't think he's going to be able to escape this one. Diamond Prox is going to try and track it down. He's going to get into the bush and back very quickly. He should be able to escape this one, as does Maluna. The Dragon was so close to going down. Genja was off the side. I think they probably could have picked it up maybe with a smite, but they just didn't stick around long enough.
No, they didn't, but Hosan is, and this is typical Hosan. He's not envisioned just yet, so Gambit aren't 100% aware. His timing is piercing arrow. Can he steal it?
He does! He got it! Brilliant play from Hosan, and now he's going to see if he can back in time. We saw Maluna run around. Diamond Prox is going to run towards him. He's going to have to throw the hail of arrows out. I don't think he's going to escape this one. Alex Hitch is already on him, but remember, he can just die to a turret. If he doesn't get touched out here, he's going to have to dodge Genja. One more shot. He survives brilliantly. Well, he doesn't survive. He obviously died, but the turret got the kill nevertheless.
Somebody give Hosan a cookie, because that was a great play. Stole it away from a frenzy volley bear. I'm looking at smite. It wasn't actually available for Diamond Prox in that particular thing, so he couldn't finish it off with a smite. He was relying on that percentage mom of the frenzy, and that simply wasn't in time, because the attack damage bonus on Bloodthirster benefited Hosan way more.
So Genja back down the bottom, farm it out. How's he stacking though? Because that experience swing that they just got from stealing that dragon, you can see the gold. It's right there. 200 advantage currently to Dragonborns. Would you believe it? Look across the board, though. Very close to the AD carries. The mid lane, it's a big difference currently. Alex Hitch, that's really where the difference is stacking right now. And you can see also the top lane, it's an advantage for Yamato Cannon.
So the Dragonborns are in a position where they're doing relatively well in the macro game, but in the micro, when it comes to those team fights and the individual positioning, they were quite handily beaten. They had a tighter group on Dragon. Gambit simply dove straight through all of them and managed to pick up all those skills. So it was well played. We can see in the middle lane, though, we see Darien coming in from behind. Can he get the taunts?
He does manage to get the crescendo out, but it's all a matter of death, though, for Movet. Can he manage to get the damage down? Hosan doing what he can, throwing out his ultimate, throwing out the hail of arrows, throwing out anything to get any kills here. Now we finally see Maluno coming in. Have they got enough? Genja's actually chasing. Void Spikes does manage to land on Maluno. They can't pursue it. They have no vision.
Good positional play there from Darien, coming in from behind. He even got locked up by Crescendo. Diamond wants to carry on fighting.
He does. He managed to get the flip on Maluno, but it's the big angry bear versus another bear, and that's a huge bear. Yamato Cannon caught out got Shadow Dash brilliantly there. Darian does go down from it. It's a 1-for-1 exchange. It's Alex H picking up the kill on Yamato Cannon, but Darian does go down, and still they could go back for another game.
So technically that was better for Dragonborns because that was a 4 versus 5 in that engagement. They did not have movement there. They didn't have his Crescendo or his Exhaust available, and they still traded 1-for-1. So well played to the Dragonborns. The Shockwave from Shushe was actually very, very good. It controlled a little bit of the zone, managed to catch a couple members of Gambit and get some damage down. The fact that he's got that Hourglass completed means he's going to be a little bit safer in those team fights. Once Alex jumps on him, he's just going to zone yours up and stay alive for a couple seconds longer.
This Bloodthirst is starting to stack out across all the teams. Alex Ich, Genja and Hosan with 1 apiece. Hosan farming very nicely right now, but you can see it's still even with Genja. Genja had that little bit of free farm down the bottom, and now, of course, Alex Ich 4-2-1. Well, who else would be top killer right now for Gambit? It's the man of the top of the All-Stars, or chasing, fighting desperately with Peke at the top of All-Stars. As it stands, though, Dragonborns, they are well in this game and really very much up for it.
It's going to come down to target acquisition. It's that simple. When a team fight breaks out, if Zed and Oriana can pick off the carries of Kha'Zix and Misfortune, or the roles reserved, if Kha'Zix and Misfortune can pick off Zed or Varus, that's going to determine who wins the team fight because they're equal on items, equal on damage, and it's literally just going to come down to positioning and who can actually get to the squishies and the carries the most efficiently in these fights.
And you got to remember, that was an even trade. Mover was taken down with that Crescendo right at the beginning, so they didn't have one of the main team spells. Here comes Maluno coming around the side, trying to catch onto swords anyone. It does pull Alex Ich straight down the river.
So if you look at the positioning there from Gambit, they're shoving both the top and the bottom lane while the Dragonborns are grouping up in the middle. This is something the Dragonborns have shown as a little bit of a weakness, is their map control and their map presence. I want to see how they handle this engagement. They look like they want to force a fight. You can see some pings onto members of Gambit, and everyone from Gambit is relatively close. So if something happens, they can react to it. Now that they're going to start going a little bit more aggressive and Edward clearing those wards out, means Gambit's going to get the positional advantages. Maluno may get caught up by Shen here. So prepare for anything explosive to happen, because you can have Shen diving in or you can have Alex diving in at a moment's notice.
Trying to get on towards Darian. He does manage to get the stun down. What is Darian going to do to this one? Maluno very tanky. Remember, he was the man that went in at the front last time as well. He needs to get a little bit more health, though, I feel, because Darian, obviously, with that Sunfire Cape building up towards the War Marks as well, it's going to be a giant walking hit point, health point person.
A health point
doesn't even
machine.
make sense.
It makes perfect sense. He's a health point machine, and in order to kill the health point machine, it's going to be up to Hosan and his percentage health point damage abilities. But at the moment, Dragonborn's doing well. They look like they wanted to pick a fight. They look like they wanted to push mid lane turret. They went, we don't really think we can, and they pretty much just ran away and farmed up the lane. So well played by them. If you don't have advantage on an objective and you don't have positioning on the objective, don't force it. Don't overstay your welcome or overstep your boundaries. And that's exactly what they did. So a little bit of passive farming, but the next big team fight is definitely going to yield a tower, maybe even Baron at this point.
Everyone with perfect timing. Look at that. Both teams backing off. They know 48 seconds before that dragon is due. Everybody get your items in now. Black Cleaver comes out. Last Whisper comes out. Sunfire Cape was already there. He's got the locket.
Locket of the Iron Solari?
Yeah, of the Iron Solari. I called it completely something different the other week as well. But we do see Blade of the Rune King. That's been there for a long time as well. But Phantom Dancer now picked up by Hosan. He's going to be more hurting in the next fight. Haunting Guys also picked up by Shushe. So big fight on the horizon.
I definitely want to talk about the Haunting Guys for a second, because if you look at their opponents, there isn't all that much magic resist. There's no Aegis of the Legion just yet. So if Shushe does get a very good ultimate with that distance and shockwave, it can definitely shred the HP bars of his opponents. So we have to keep close eye on that ball control in these team fights. Now that Dragon spawned, almost all the teams are in position for this, with the exception of Yamato Cannon, who is still shoving that top lane. So you can see some fallback pings or some, caution, help needed pings there from Dragonborns in the river. And it definitely looks like a fight's going to break out. Once again, Darren's just dealing with a push because he has Stand United to join at a moment's notice.
Yamato is not coming down, though. He's sticking in that top lane. He's going to keep Darian busy, but he's got nothing that can stop Darian if he suddenly starts ulting him.
No, nothing at all, but the fight breaks out in river.
They do manage to go for it. Move Air flashes out of it. Diamond taking a lot of damage here for nothing being used. Here comes the ultimate, though. Stand United getting towards them. Move Air does manage to use his crescendo, but it's for naught, and it's going to be another kill picked up by Alex Ich. Maluno goes down, and that's what we talked about. So they traded a dragon for a turret. I'm not too sure whether Yamato can keep pushing here.
Yamato's going to try, but in the mid lane, Dragonborns are going to try to put some damage here. They're not going to be able to stick around. And that was just a little bit of lack of control and team fight coordination from Dragonborns. They were a little bit split. They had no Yamato cannon there. They weren't able to engage, and you can see immediately they just got jumped on and they sort of went, oh, we don't really know what to do. Genja is just going straight down to this bottom lane, and if they get this tower as well, definitely advantage Gambit.
Definitely advantage to Gambit once again. 9-8 now, 200 gold, almost building up. There's the hail of bullets. It's like a mix of both. Yeah, bullet time.
Good enough.
It's a mix of both. Hosan caught out. Alex will go for this one. He should be able to dive on towards the turret. There's the flash, but he's going to flash and turn it round. He tried to stand his ground, but he's just simply not strong enough. Yamato Cannon was too far away to get involved. He's going to go. It's going to be the markdown. He's kind of lost there. The ultimate from Alex completely confusing him, and he stealths away.
Really good play there from Alex. He actually popped himself into that stealth as the death mark was about to pop. So he reduced all of that damage, that burst effect, thanks to his ultimate. So well played, good timing. Alex gets himself another kill on the board. 6-2-2. Black Cleaver completed, Mana Immune completed, as well as that Bloodthirster. And his Mura mana is about 200 mana from being completed. Yamato Cannon not really having the insta-kill options available that he really needs to be effective on Zed.
I don't think you can do anything against Darian here, honestly. Darian with that Warmogs and Sunfire Cape, you can see the hit points just slowly burning down. Darian's happy to just walk around, standing next to him. Now he's got a giant wave of minions on him. What is Yamato thinking? He's just used his ultimate and everything else down to the bottom on Alex Ich. Well, of course, he's thinking he's got Maluno to come and help support. Now they're going to go aggressive. He's just managed to get the Storm as he tries to Shadow Dash away. Forces the flash from Darian.
So good call. At least they've burned that flash from Shen, but that's not really the most important. You can see how much damage those missiles are doing onto Hosan. Alex is already level 18. First level 18 in the game by a long margin. And it actually looks like they're going to maybe set up for Baron here. You see Edward's got the Oracle's Elixir, so he's clearing out vision. Got a number of wards in his back pocket. Just going to set up as many vision points around the Dragonborns jungle as possible. And it just tells you immediately, we want to start baiting Dragonborns into thinking Baron is our next objective and our next target. And if you can force your opponent's hand and pick a fight on your terms, obviously it's your advantage.
So yeah, Muramana now picked up as well. That's going to turn into a, well, Mana Immune, sorry, will turn into a Muramana. Maybe it's going to revert back on itself, who knows. But as it stands, it is advantage Gambit now, slowly but surely building up. It's a 3k advantage, 10-8 in kills, 2-2 in turrets, and that middle turret seems to be the next focus target for Gambit as they start to stack up there. Genja just clearing that bottom wave. That's going to push itself now. They're all going to make their way in towards that mid lane.
So Genja's Avarice Blade at the moment has already picked up 800 gold, but in the top lane, you've got the top lanes going, and he wants the kill.
He's goosed the death mark on towards Darian. He may well get the kill as well. Remember, he's already used that flash, pops him out there, catches a glimpse of Edward, and immediately the rest of Dragonborns trying to track out there. They see Edward. They pinged on Edward, but they can't catch him.
The reason he was able to get that kill was the fact that he completed his last Whisper. The last time we've seen that engagement happening, that additional armor penetration was not there for Yamato Cannon. It was now. Because he's dead, this means Dragonborns are going aggressive on this mid turret, but here comes Edward from the side.
Coming around the side, Wild Growth catches in, but in comes Maluna. They get the stun out towards Diamond, but have they got the damage? You can see Bullet Time coming across the side. They're catching across the front line of Dragonborns, and there comes the jump. Alex Ich going in, but he's 4v1 right now. He's going a little too aggressive. Oh, but Genja comes in, flashes for the kill on towards Hosan. Beautifully played, and the rest of Dragonborns forced to back away.
Really good play from Gambit. They defended that tower 4 versus 4 because Yamato Cannon was alone in the top lane. They managed to get a different tower, so good thing for Dragonborns, but Gambit immediately replied. The pressure is still on, and they want to carry on pushing this inner turret now. Maluno is going to try get some help from Shushay, but this is 3 versus 2, and Gambit decide they don't want the fight.
They're going to try and keep them off this turret. They do manage to take a third health off there. The bottom lane, top lane, sorry, when Yamato Cannon did take that inner turret down, but Darian, he just managed to come round and completely protect him, and well, keep him at bay, and he does force him away. So, still very close between these guys, but you see the gold. It is slowly but surely creeping in towards Gambit's way. Shushay's going to clear out a giant wave here, get himself a chunk of gold, but look across the board. We now see Yamato Cannon with a 1,000 gold advantage built up over Darian. That's important, but there's a 2,500 gold limit for Alex Ich over Shushay. The AD carries, though, it's a 2,000 gold limit building up for Genja. So 2 advantages for Gambit, 1 for Dragonborns.
I'd like to see Dragonborns starting to prioritize some armor. They're definitely going to need that to survive the damage from Kha'Zix and from Misfortune. If they can, it's definitely going to play into their favor. But after all the gold advantages, we see Genja has gone Season 2 and completed his Guardian Angel. So we see this out of him over and over and over. Bloodthirster, Last Whisper, Guardian Angel has been his go-to build the last couple of weeks. Both teams have the Aegis of the Legion completed. We see one Locket of the Iron Solari on the side of Gambit, and no Locket completed yet for Dragonborns. They're going to need that to survive the burst damage and AoE from Gambit.
Well, you can see Yamato Cannon realize spotted the danger and runs like the wind. Diamond Proc still coming around the side there, chasing on towards Move Up, but the rest of the team are there. Maluna comes in, puts the bear stance straight in his face, bear to bear, and the Maluna wins.
Yeah, exactly. The bear necessities neither bear in favor at the moment. Maluna just going to farm up this top lane. He's doing really well with that Udyr. Interesting build. He's got those Home Guard Boots of Swiftness completed, as well as the Spirit of the Ancient Golem. I'd like to see what he itemizes next, because his opponent has got those Ninja Tabba and the Locket. Now, Yamato and Maluna, they might catch Alex.
They're going to go for him. They try and catch on towards him, but he's a slippery son of a bitch, and he jumps straight away from it. Didn't quite get the Death Mark down on him, and he just jumps straight away from that one. No problems at all.
He had his ultimate, he had his flash, and he had the ability to leap to safety. They couldn't stick to him. Interesting that Dragonborns didn't decide to commit to that, because Yamato had his blade active, he had his Death Mark to chase, and flash. But they decided to err on the side of caution, as it were, and not throw themselves into a potential trap, because they simply didn't have the vision to continue the chase.
Well, we do see Yamato Cannon still at the top there, as is Alex Ich. We may have a one-on-one situation, but you can see the Dragon here being picked up by Gambit once again. That's going to stretch their gold lead just that little bit further, and Dragonborns slowly but surely slipping away from this matchup. Gambit taking all the advantages they can.
So this is something we see from Gambit in every game that they play. Their Dragon control is simply sublime. They have the timing on it, they have the positioning on it, they always ensure that they have vision as well. We see now that Alex may be collapsed on. Yamato and Hasan want this, and exactly, see how slippery Alex is. Ooh. He just hops over the wall and gets to safety.
Well, I thought he maybe even triggering off towards Baron there, but again, just jumps away. All those yumps. Some would say you must jump.
You must jump indeed, because that's how you get the pentakill. It's the only way to get those resets, is diving in there and committing. And we see that those jumps are going to be so much safer, because Guardian Angel has been completed now for Alex. I believe Gambit are the only teams that consistently pick up GAs to date. We mostly see defensive items in the forms of, Warmogs or Sunfires from most other players, but 2 GAs, which means the next team fight is going to be 5 versus 7, effectively, before the shields, before the help. And Gambit, they want Baron.
Well, they're going to go in towards Hosan, going to keep the poking damage down, and Edward actually taking a lot of damage, as does Diamond, from that Baron. So Baron, a little angry boy in the middle end, nearly attacking the ward as well. Managed to get one hit down on it. Didn't quite finish it off, though.
Very, very cheeky play there from Dragonborns. Hosan and Mover triggering Baron just to get it to help them out. And you can see Baron hits really, really hard, regardless of how many items you have. I do want to say here that we just see an interesting pickup from Genja. The Ghost Blade has been finished, so that Avarice Blade has been upgraded. And he's going to have that movement speed, the penetration, and the additional attack speed, which is really going to help chase down the slippery Zed and Udyr.
If he remembers to click them all at once.
I think Genja can remember. If anyone's going to remember how to do it, I think he can.
You would hope so. You would hope so. So Darian, meanwhile, split pushing, continuing on. And look at this. He's got himself another Giant's Bolt. Randy and Zoman's going to come out this time. He's just stacking all of that health up. Currently at 4,000. Looks like 65 to me. And it's just going to get higher and higher, as we do see Yamato Cannon now. He's shoving that bottom lane. Now might be the time. There goes the ping on Baron.
Now, there's no way that Yamato can get there in time. He's going to try hot-footing it as quickly as possible. But Dragonborns are in the area. They have 3 nearby. Diamond Prox is sniffing around the jungle. He's trying to find that honeypot to flip backwards. And Yamato has still not reacted. Yamato needs to get here to help his team, because Gambit has started Baron. Now, Hosan is also in base. You can see him running as quickly as possible. Darian's going to keep Yamato free, but this might be a free Baron.
Oh, jump straight across, and Movehead just gets destroyed by Alex. It's kind of proving where he might be bottom of the KDA currently in all the supports. But nevertheless, it is going to be a flip on towards Maluna. It's bear v bear action, and well, Diamond Prox actually taking a lot of damage this time. Can they turn it around? No, they can't. A little claw into the backside of Maluna does take a chunk out of that bear meat. They're going to continue on. Baron does finally go down. They're going to catch on towards Alex Ich. The shockwave still yet to be used. Now they're jumping on towards Shusei. Shusei's got no mana. He can't do anything. The flash comes out from Alex Ich. Forcing the flash. It's going to be Hosan taken down. Gets the reset. Can he get in towards Shusei? Shusei with no mana at all. Alex Ich could dive this. He's got the Guardian Angel. There's nothing to stop him going for it, but they will back away. Baron, of course, picked up by Gambit.
The entirety of that fight, Darien and Yamata Cannon actually went toe-to-toe in the bottom lane. You can see their HP bars are shredded. They have their ignites burned, and actually Yamata Cannon lost that trade. I believe he went in him under the turret, which obviously plays into Darien's favor, but it did mean it was a 4 versus 4. Gambit obviously won that. They got the turret, they got Baron, and they got kills. Again, it's now Gambit in control. They have a sizable gold lead, and with that Baron buff on their team, they're going to go aggressive. Oh, do they want this fight? No, not at the moment.
It's interesting for me because they've clearly, Dragonborns have clearly proven, chosen to say, okay, we're going to keep a 4v4 fight. We feel we can take it, but it's clear the last 3 team fights, they can't. So Yamada Cannon needs to be with them in the fight. They need to have someone to destroy Alex or Kenja so quickly to pop them GAs.
It was the unexpected that really caught them off guard. They were setting up for Baron. They were going, well, we want to fight this. How do we go in? When do we go in? Where do we go in from? And all of a sudden, Alex just jumped over the wall and caught Muvert. Wow, Hosen sidestepped the taunt.
Oh, and that's going to be the Varus ultimate catching on towards Darien, but they have to step away because there goes Genja and Edward. And as soon as they appeared, everybody had to back away. Yamada Cannon continuing the aggression on towards Darien. This time he is going to go in. Deathmark goes down. Can he keep the damage down? But here comes Genja. He does pop him. He's on towards Genja. He's going to have to back away from this one. Flash is out just at the right moment.
Edward wants blood, though, because he's running up into the members of Dragonborns. And if anyone's going to do it, it's going to be Edward. He's going to get stunned up, though. There's the wild growth for safety. But ultimate burn, it's on cooldown, and a little over-aggressive from the Thresh Prince.
Slightly over-exerted there, yeah. Not on Thresh this time, so he hasn't quite got that safety of his, safety of the box, as it were, to get around. But doesn't matter, because here comes Gambit once again up the middle. While that was all happening, Alex was just getting blue. He's like, guys, what the hell are you doing?
Yeah, he wanted to cool down, make sure he's going to be able to continue spam his abilities. We see that the build from Shusha, he's only just finished his Morella Nomicon, and that's going to be giving him some much-needed mana regen. Part of the reason he was going to be less effective at the Baron fight was because he simply couldn't spam his abilities like he needs to. So we're starting to hit the super late-game phases. Teams are going to get towards their max builds, and any mistakes are now completely unforgiving in this battle. You lose inhibitors, you lose Barons. Dragonborns are responding well, they're in the right position, but Alex wants to jump. And you see the rest of Gambit are positioning. So at any time that Gambit decide to dive, they've got a lot of armor, a lot of health, and a lot of respawns in the form of those GAs to actually tower dive.
Yeah, the ward bait there from Edward. You saw him put it down, he's like, he's going to try and take the bait here. Alex was ready and waiting, but luckily Yamada Cannon read the situation and followed him in there, so he didn't want to go 2v1. So, everybody backing off from Gambit. Let's see what they're going to stack up. Dragon has just spawned, and as you mentioned, they have perfect timing on that one. All 3 members collapsing in here, while Darien continues that farming along the top. You can see he's got that Randian's Omen, picked himself some more armor up, because why not? I mean, his armor must be at 250 by now.
Well, it's purely because of the threats that he has to deal with. It's only Zed and Varus that are really scary from the opposition, so stack that armor to mitigate the damage from the damage sources of your opponents. While, you know, Chusha's Orianna does have a fair amount of ability power and can deal some damage, percentage HP is good, and Darien's get caught.
He's going to go in for him, and he's not going to be able to get away from this one. You see the flash come out, Deathmark comes out, there will follow through Shusha with the ball. Will it be enough? No, he's going to walk away, and here comes Diamond Prox. Would you believe it? He survived. The rest of his team weren't quite in position to follow it up, and he just doesn't have the damage. That's how tanky he really is.
2 versus 1, Shusha could not use the shockwave either. He wasn't in a position, and now Diamond and Genja just steal away the red buff from under the nose of Dragonborns. They are losing every single objective. Now, while all that's going on, the bottom lane is being pressured by Gambit. Gambit are playing the map right now. They're not necessarily playing their opponents. They just want to get the waves pushing and make sure the towers are under constant pressure from Dragonborns.
Yeah, Dragonborns, meanwhile, they're trying to get a pick or two, trying to see if they can get anything away from them. Maluno goes home unhappy because he has no red buff to take away in that middle area of the jungle. Top lane is going to get farmed out by Yamada Cannon. He has got a lot of farm for his team, but as has, you can see Shusha, but again, all the way through the game, that 40 CS difference has maintained itself with Alex Ich.
Yeah, that 40 CS difference is obviously becoming less and less significant as we get to 410 to 370 CS, but it still shows because Shusha has simply not popped anybody. Gambit has seen an opportunity, and it looks like they're rushing for this bottom inner turret. Dragonborns are trying to respond as quickly as possible. They may be there in time, but I don't know if they want to pick this fight, because if they don't initiate and lock people up with that crescendo and the chain, they might just get bursted down.
Oh, Hosan has just picked himself up an Infinity Edge, and you can see Yamato Cannon trying to keep the damage down, but they can't even get close to dealing anything towards that one. And Dragonborns now up against a very aggressive Gambit team. They want to get in and get this turret.
Yeah, they're trying to push it down. There's a minute and a half to go before Baron respawns, so Gambit are looking to get in here. Maluno's put some damage down onto Darien, but the rest of his team wasn't on the same page. They can't run as quickly as that Monkey's Agility Bear Stance Udia, which means they're going to be a little slower to react. Expect a flash crescendo from Mover if they want to pick a fight with Gambit, but Gambit look like they've responded. They don't want to fight under the turret, and they've backed away.
Yeah, they don't really have the positional advantage either. They are going to maybe try and collapse on towards Diamond. They can see he's off at the side. Alex Ich with that blue buff stolen away. He's going to come back in. Not sure if you can really class it as stolen when they've completely taken all of the jungle, so maybe he's just decided it was his. This time the ball did manage to catch on with the dissonance and the hail of arrows. They do get good damage on towards him. Now Darien also caught out, and they can see the great rain of...
That's Make It Rain.
Make It Rain, damn
Make It Rain, and then
Make It Rain was the one that stopped him.
Just managed to put some slow down. The thing is, Alex is going to need to go and heal up just a little bit. If he can't lifesteal off any of the camps, which it looks like he has done, he's now just decided to move back. Take some good damage there and good poke. Alex consistently walking into that command attack. The taunt misses, and that means it's off cooldown. This might signal the engagement Dragonborns.
They're going for it. You can see Alex, he's ready and waiting just around the side there. Edward was backing away with him, and they are trying to back off from this one, so they've got to be careful they don't get caught. Darien, he's not quite on the same wavelength. The rest of his team are backing away. He's sticking around. Finally, he's going to back off. They're not going to be able to catch anyone here.
So Gambit not feeling too confident to start a fight under their opponent's inhibitor, and Dragonborns obviously not, flash committing or doing anything themselves. They put a lot of poke down onto Alex, and if they can do that in a big team fight, it's going to play into their favor. Baron Nashor has just respawned, and you can see Gambit are immediately rushing towards that position. Neither team has vision, neither team is 100% sure when it's going to get started, and they're going to see, I want to see how Dragonborns react, because at the moment, Maluno and Yamato are going to be holding off Darien.
Yeah, they're trying to keep them busy. Darien, again, is going to pull Yamato Cannon out of the way. We said this right at the top of the show. Without a teleport, he's going to be in all sorts of trouble, and this is the exact situation. Will Mover get caught out? He gets the voice box straight in his face again. Look at this. Alex Ich, he wants to jump straight in there. This time, though, Shushe is there. The ball goes in dissonance on towards Edward, along with that spike coming out from Hosan. Does manage to catch him in, and here goes Maluno. He wants to go aggressive. He's caught on towards Edward. Is it going to be enough? There's the bullet time. Not really catching enough, and you can see Alex Ich jumping in, though. Mover, crescendo catches on. Alex Ich's Guardian Angel was popped there. Mover's got to be careful. He's going to get the resets on towards Alex Ich. Alex Ich still alive. Hosan does go down, though. That's a tragedy for Yamato Cannon. He's trying to run away from this one, and Dragonborns suddenly fall in left, right, center. They're coming across the side there. The slow catches on towards Mover. The ball didn't come out. It's a double kill picked up for Genja, and now it's going to be Gambit shoving straight up the mid lane.
They've got so much armor, they might even decide to try and push for the win here. 3-for-0 trade. Edward's even interrupting Shushe while Genja's decided to come and play. Now, ideally, they wanted him on the turret to get in here, but Genja wants KDA. He is going for the kills, and he will get Shushe. That bullet time from Genja was actually really impressive. It dropped 50% of Hosan and Mover's HP before they even got into the fight. So they immediately went from being the aggressors to being aggressed upon. Ran backwards, and obviously Darien and Diamond Prox just rushed straight through. So free inhibitor, and they expect Gambit to set up for Baron now.
Yeah, that's going to be super minions going up that mid lane. There's a giant wave going down the top lane for Dragonborns, but it's going to get stopped very quickly, and well, Alex Ich is going to pick himself up a hell of a lot of gold right there, so that's going to give him some nice chunk of change. Not that he really needs it, because he's already on the max build. He's just going to go back and stack a couple more potions in there, get a bit of a disco dance color going.
Yeah, gets the aura going, Super Saiyan power, as it were. And obviously buffing himself up. You'll probably see him picking up an Oracle's Elixir as well, just making some of that gold actually go to use and denying the vision from Dragonborns. As you can see, he's got the pink eye going, and now he's setting up for Baron. The rest of Gambit are getting some vision. They're just going to let themselves know if Dragonborns try to defend, they can jump in there and immediately pick up more kills. So now with a 12,000 gold lead, or sorry, 11,000 gold lead, Gambit they've got map presence, and Yamato, he's just not on the same page as the rest of Dragonborns. He needed teleport to be trying the strat. Look at Gambit in the jungle. They are setting up for kills. They want to fight, and it's because they have the ability to win with that massive item advantage. There is no stand united from Darien, though, so this will be a 4v4 if they pick a battle.
But there's a 4v4 they can't win. They've proved it 5 times already. Are Dragonborns not reading the same strategy that we're seeing right now?
I definitely think they're not 100% on the same page. Gambit, they want Blades. Yeah, the Make It Rain comes down. They've got the slow.
They do manage to get the slow, and look at that. Crescendo comes out, Shockwave goes in, Hosan's still just about alive. The resets though going to come out here, and immediately they can see there's the kill for Alex Ich. Now they're going to get on towards Shuche. Shuche caught out. Oh, Make It Rain slows him down. The voice box didn't catch on towards him. Yamato Cannon goes in, gets the assassination. Guardian Angels comes out. Shuche is going to catch on towards Diamond. Diamond's caught out. Yamato Cannon does get taken down. There's the kill again. A Mubert, the last man standing in the base. Here come the super minions, and here comes the win from Gambit.
Yeah, that was a 4v4 to begin with. It became a 4v5 at the end, in which case Gambit actually won that so convincingly. Stand United comes down just to defend some of Diamond Prox's HP. They're just going to chunk down this Nexus. A great showing from Dragonborns. They fought hard and they fought long. But just a few missteps in this mid and late game cost them the matchup.
Yeah, and there it is. That's the win. So Gambit finally taking it away, 21-11, 8-3 in turrets. And at the end of the day, it was a slow grinding win, I think it's safe to say, but they won it nonetheless. And look at that. They descend into darkness. Nocturne must be in the studio right now because they do manage to take him down. And suddenly we get a bit of a disco light in the background. So Alex Ich going to go across and congratulate Dragonborns. Thank you very much to those guys for getting up and shaking hands. It's good to see the teams with good sportsmanship, even though they are now residing at 4-17 at the bottom of the league. And of course, this means that Gambit are now top of the LCS. Maybe for one game only. We're going to get across to our analysis desk. It is, of course, going to be Joe and Jason Kaplan.
Thanks a lot, guys. And I have to say, before we really get into things, I'm impressed with how Dragonborns came out from this one. It's no secret that they've had a hard time recently. Their losing streak is unrivaled up until now in the LCS, anywhere, actually. But they weren't bad at all today. They look like a different team to what we've seen in the past. Let's not forget they're facing Gambit here, who are on a hot streak of their own. They were 3-0 last week. And it looks like Dragonborns have had the time to settle down, to have that bit more practice. Of course, the roster changes that didn't work out for them, with Dexter coming in from Aluno and then being switched back out there. Yamato Cannon seeming to find a little bit more of his own. And it just looks like Dragonborns have finally found a bit of a swing. But, you know, they lose again, but it's against Gambit, which you can almost expect as well.
Yeah, they played phenomenal. You're definitely right in that situation because Hosan and moving in the bot lane, he just controlled his lane the entire time. We saw some great play out of him, getting picking up 2 kills in a row against the bot lane of Gambit, like you're saying. I mean, it's no easy feat to go up against them and win. And Yamato Cannon, you're completely right. He looks like he finally has settled down into his lane, into a couple of different champions that he can play, and finally seems, I guess, more comfortable because in the previous weeks he's played very... Well, I'll just say it bluntly, very, very bad. But as we saw right there, he did a really great job with Zed, and it almost worked out for Dragonborns. They just kind of seemed to lack the initiation they needed, and because of that, they fell behind just too far. Yeah, and we saw that towards the end where they were sieging that bottom lane inhibitor turret, and we were talking about, like, where does the initiation come from there? Is it a flash crescendo? I mean, Udyr couldn't, even with the ball, and couldn't really dive in there because after all, Udyr can only run in as fast, even though he is fast when he has that bear stance on with a monkey's agility. But there's a Lulu on the other team. And that's a good point, because we've had Snoopy talk to us about if you're against like a Lulu and you're like required for your team to be the initiate, like a Volley Bear or even Udyr, you need flash. And Luna was running that ghost, so every time he would try to go in, be slowed instantly by Lulu. You had the taunt come out of Shen, you had the slow come out of Alex Ich as well, even in the Make It Rain or Rain of whatever demon we're trying to call it there. So they just could not get that strong initiate, and yeah, they do flash crescendo with the ball, but that's going to be a dead zone right when that crescendo wears off. Exactly. Let's have a look then at the replay that we've called for this one. It comes a little bit earlier into the game. We didn't pick that final fight, but it was around the Baron anyway. Yeah, it was actually a very, very close game at this point. It was about 3,000 gold difference, 35 minutes in. It's 11-9 in terms of kills. We'll go ahead and take you straight into this replay, and there's something I really wanted to show you. That was just a phenomenal job by Edward. But we'll start off the replay, and I'll get to that when we actually do get far into the replay. But you're going to see Alex, he's just going to dive straight into the back of Movert. And this is a key point because you see how close this fight eventually does get when they start going head-to-head, and even with Movert dead, without that crescendo, without that necessity of that stun on the entire team, they could have potentially won this fight. But Muno, he comes around, he ends up getting caught a little bit here, and this is what I want to show you. I'm gonna pause real quick and show you the health of Baron. We're going to see Edward hop back and forth multiple times, just keeping Baron triggered so he can't get a full reset. And because of that, they're able to pick up Baron right after this fight. And it was just a great job in general. And I'm not sure if it was even noticed too much by either team. But that's what makes a good support a great support, because you're seeing him right there. He's just bouncing back and forth. He's going to keep Baron active, keep him fighting. And yeah, he's going to take the damage, but he can sit in the backline. It's not going to matter too much. They pick up the Baron, and they pick up a nice 5,000 gold lead from the previous 3,000 gold lead. So, all in all, just a great play by Gambit. And we also want to talk about one more thing before we get into the MVP. It was about Genja. Okay, so we had Trevor point out the Youmu's Ghostblade, which is an unheard of item on AD carries these days. Well, ever, I'll have to say. But the point is that Genja was running 24 flat armor pen in the beginning. He had a Last Whisper as well, so he had 24 flat plus the 40% of that. Then he had the Youmu's Ghostblade take him to 44, and then he also had a Black Cleaver on Alex, so he had the 44 plus the 40% plus the 25% of the Black Cleaver. He picked up Black Cleaver himself, which gave him 54. So pretty much what I'm trying to say is Dragonborns side basically had no armor to him, so his bullet time would just shred through everyone on the other team.
Yeah, really great stuff to see. New builds coming out. Also, that old style of Guardian Angels. They had 2 in there on the team. Sorry, they had 3 in there by the end. Actually, Shen also had 1. And even in that last fight, we saw that Darian wasn't involved whatsoever. Obviously, he was 1v1 in Yamato Cannon down in that bottom side. Yamato Cannon went back. Darian actually didn't bother go back. He was still pushing the bottom lane out as he went there. So overall, really great performance from Gambit and from Dragonborns. I want to give them the credit where it's due here in this one, because they've lost another one, but there's some promising signs in there. And that brings us to our MVP, which was, again, a hard one to call because there were so many great plays out of Gambit, such great teamwork. In the end, we decided to give it to Alex Ich.
Yeah, and for good reason on top of that, because we saw him get first blood in that middle lane in a 1v1 situation against Shushay. Then you saw about a couple minutes later him go back in onto him, pick up the kill. Unfortunately, he did die because of the Ignite, but still, what it did was... Yeah, what it did was, though, it kept Shushay so far behind in the game that he really couldn't get the momentum he needed to become that force he needed to be for his team, like we pointed out in the highlighted players. So it did a good job of holding him back, and then it's just Alex on Kha'Zix. I mean, you expect nothing less.
Yeah, and one thing we didn't touch on there is that if you look down the Gambit lineup as well, they had very comfortable champions.
Yes.
Shen for Darian, Volibear for Diamond Prox, Kha'Zix for Alex Ich. When are we going to see that band out again, Simir again? Misfortune for Genja and Lulu for Edward. These are really, really comfortable champions. Nonetheless, great game. Congratulations to Gambit. That's it from us for this game. We're going to head over onto the main stage where Shox is waiting with our MVP for an interview.
Absolutely, Alex Ich, the MVP. First off, the picks and bans. We thought maybe Dragonborns would pull out something special, but everything was very standard. So guide us through those picks and bans.
So they banned, it was usual bans against us in the usual, and they got the pick they wanted, I think, like the heroes they usually do. I saw that Yamato Cannon pulled out Lulu top, so maybe they will go for Teemo top, but they didn't. So it was the usual, and we picked just the heroes we usually play, so we were comfortable with our pick.
Comfortable with your picks, and yet the early game didn't go as planned, I can imagine. Your lane was doing especially well, but the others, not at all.
So I don't know actually what happened, but our bot lane was struggling. I think it was a bit issue of the level 1 or something like that. And top lane, I think Darian played a bit over-aggressive and didn't expect the strengths from that Udyr combo, because Udyr has not played that much. So they showed that it's really good.
All right. Now, one of the big stories here this weekend is, of course, who will get that first place at the end of the weekend, Fnatic or you guys? It seems that you guys are finding your old form back, your best form. So what has changed? You're still traveling a lot, so...
I think it's more about we found our pick, the picks that we want to play. We found out almost every team at the LCS, they don't change much. So we feel comfortable almost against every team. And I actually think that it's not only us getting better, but other teams getting a bit worse, because everyone getting tired of the LCS, and it's really hard to perform its best. For example, Dragonborns won their first games, but they started losing because they still can't fight their game.
Okay. Finally, MVP and 1 game. That means you can promote yourself for the All-Star game.
So for MVP, I would say that you can't say that one player is better than other player, but I can say that I'm good enough to be in the All-Star team, and it's I want to be there, so why shouldn't I promote myself? I thought about it a lot, and I really think that All-Star is the chance to shine, and I really want to go there and meet Messiah.
All right, thank you very much, Alex. Now, the Evil Geniuses have been in a bit of a slump the last couple of weeks. A win would give them a much-needed confidence boost. On the other hand, Fnatic has had no trouble topping the rankings. Can EG give Fnatic a run for their money? EG versus Fnatic after the break. Thank you very much.